Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this video right now but have not yet subscribed, then please tap on the subscribe button because you will find my videos intriguing and interesting. Don't forget to like and be part of the conversations by simply sharing your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, in today's video, we look at a recent development. Egypt asserts that it provided a crucial warning to Israel 3 days prior to the recent Hamas attack, emphasizing the importance of preparedness and cooperation in the volatile region. Now, according to Egyptian officials, the alert was issued as part of a broader effort to promote regional stability, raising questions about communication breakdowns and geopolitical tensions in the face of escalating conflicts. Now, this revelation adds a new layer to the complex dynamics between neighboring nations and militant groups, shedding light on the challenges of navigating diplomacy and security in the Middle East. With what is happening right now between Israel and Egypt, I think something big is about to come. But for now, check out these videos. I will be right back, and when I come back, we talk more about this topic.
Well, isn't this interesting? So that thing that everybody's been saying, surprise attack, Hamas, it was the surprise attack on October 7th. Well, apparently, Egyptian intelligence repeatedly told officials in Jerusalem that Hamas was going to attack, or that something like this was coming. In fact, the head Cairo intelligence minister directly called Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel and known, and he ignored them. In fact, there are some Egyptian officials that have told the news they were shocked at Netanyahu's indifference to what they were telling him. Netanyahu, who is noted buyer, is calling this fake news. So, lots of things you could take from this. The amount to which this wasn't a surprise is...
The Egyptian president, Sisi, not the president of Mexico, has responded to Biden, and if y'all didn't see it, this is what Biden said.
The president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate.
Al Jazeera posted this. It was in Arabic, so I did the Google Translate, so if it's slightly off, please let me know. Sisi responded saying Egypt opened the Rafah crossing from the first moment without restrictions or conditions, but is not real BOM the crossing from the Palestinian side 4 times, preventing entry of aid. So basically he's saying in the most diplomatic way, Biden, you lying. So either Biden's lying or clearly he is having issues because he said it was Mexico border when it was supposed to be Egypt.
Breaking news, Egypt has sent 40-some tanks to the Sinai up against the Gaza border to prevent any Gazans from fleeing into their country. Remember, the Egyptian prime minister said the country would sacrifice 1 million of their lives to make sure that the Gazans do not enter into that land. How many pro-Palestinians do you guys think are protesting, rioting, talking about, making videos about these extreme measures that Egypt is taking to prevent what we should assume is just civilians? But I guess that's just an internal conflict, right? Doesn't really matter. Not worth talking about if it has nothing to do with Israel or the Jewish people. Because if I argued like a pro-Palestinian, I would just say to somebody defending Egypt's actions, like, well, but they're sending tanks. What would they do? The reason for tanks is to fire upon people, right? What do the civilians have? They just have sandals and sticks. How are they going to fight against tanks? Nope, not a word, because they don't care. Because it was never about being pro-Palestinian. It was just about being anti-Israel. Yeah, quick question. How come none of even the surrounding Arab countries who stand with you guys want you? Well, when they were in Jordan, they did hate their prime minister, Wafd Sal, in 1971. And other attempts of leadership in Jordan by the Black September terrorist group, same group that did the Munich massacre in Germany. And of course, there was the Palestinian insurgency in Lebanon, led to the civil war there, 150,000 people. Well, what about Egypt? Oh, that's right. You guys remember when the Palestinians was an Egyptian editor and a confidant of Anwar Sadat? Mr. Sadat was the 3rd president of Egypt, and the Palestinians deemed him a traitor just because he visited Jerusalem. I can keep going, but it seems to be the problem not being Israel. In fact, Israel has made some peace with some of the countries that I mentioned. Even just a generation before that peace, they were calling for the destruction of Israel. Now, of course, pro-Palestinians will never admit to that. They'll just fall into some conspiracy excuse. Oh, the Zionists control all of our own governments and military. That's the only reason. Yeah, sure, bud. Anyways, the only other thing that's common is that you won't see them talk about this at all because, again, for the final time, they are not pro-Palestinian, They're anti-Israel. I'm Yisrael Chai. Have a good
Egypt has threatened Israel. Now, things are getting very heated between the countries of Egypt and Israel. Egypt is even threatening Israel to pull out of their peace agreement if Palestinians siege the Egyptian border to flee the war. Now, this is an absolutely terrible and disgusting situation. Here's what is happening. You may have heard that Egypt has sent a ton of troops, to include tanks, regular ground personnel, to block their borders to not allow for this siege of human life, Palestinians, to go from Palestine into Egypt. Now, this is because Israel or IDF forces will be going into the city of Rafah to clear out the final Hamas battalion. However, Egypt is not confident in Israeli abilities to allow for civilians passage throughout all of Gaza, and everyone is watching to see if Egypt will actually go through with this and pull from the peace deal. Now, if this happens, we have a whole new situation in the Middle East. So to understand what's happening right now, you have to understand what happened back then. So back then in the 70s, when tensions between Egypt and Israel were at an all-time high, something happened at Camp David. The leaders of Egypt and Israel shook hands and signed a deal that brought peace between their countries. Now, this agreement has kept the peace for over 40 years. Now, even though times like the Palestinian uprising and the age group, however, we see a storm is currently brewing at the Egyptian border. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants to send troops into Rafah, a city in Gaza near the Egyptian borders. Egypt, understandably, isn't too happy about this. So there have been rumors coming out that Egypt is threatening to scrap the entire peace treaty, just like I said, if Benjamin Netanyahu continues to unalive the civilians and moves his troops into Rafah. So as of a couple of days ago, Egypt has set up tanks in order to protect its border. But this is not just about a peace treaty. This deal also sets limits on how many troops each side can have at their border, which Israel is getting ready to break. Now, a U.S. congressional panel chairman said that Israel was warned by Egypt of potential violence 3 days before Hamas attacked. House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee head Michael McCaul told reporters of the alleged warning. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the reports as absolutely false. Israeli intelligence services are under scrutiny for their failure to prevent the attack by Palestinian militants in Israel's 75-year history. We know that Egypt has warned the Israelis 3 days prior that an event like this could happen, Mr. McCaul told reporters following a closed-door intelligence briefing on Wednesday for lawmakers about the Middle East crisis, according to AFP News Agency. I don't want to get too much into classified, but a warning was given. The Texas Republican added, I think the question was at what level? But an Egyptian intelligence official told the Associated Press News Agency that Cairo had repeatedly warned the Israelis something big was being planned from Gaza. We have warned them an explosion of the situation is coming, and very soon, and it would be big. But they underestimated such warnings, said the official who spoke on condition of anonymity. Now, the Cairo official said Israeli officials had played down the threat from Gaza, instead focusing on the West Bank. Sir Alex Younger, who served as chief of the UK's Foreign Intelligence Agency between 2014 and 2020, said Hamas fighters were able to carry out their attack on 7 October due to institutional complacency in Israel. He told BBC Radio 4's podcast there may have been an assumption by Israel that Hamas was not interested in a new conflict, so any information that contradicted that was discounted. It is my assumption, though I'm not on the inside, that there would be data breaking through that could have been interpreted differently and certainly would be with hindsight, he said. He added that complacency could have been compounded by an over-reliance on technological means to monitor Gaza, leading to a false sense of security. According to the Financial Times, quoting two unnamed officials familiar with the matter, there was no hard intelligence of a specific attack. Mr. Netanyahu described any suggestion that Israel had received a specific warning in advance of the incursion as totally fake news. Now, Egypt, which controls who crosses its border with Gaza, often serves as a mediator between Israel and Hamas. More than 1,500 militants stormed through the Gaza security barrier in a coordinated land, air, and sea attack on Saturday. The unaliving toll in Israel from the Hamas attack reached 1,200. More than 1,000 people were unalived by Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Now, Israel has been pounding Hamas targets in Gaza in response. Hamas has meanwhile condemned U.S. President Joe Biden's remarks, saying Israel had a duty to respond to the attack, which he called an act of sheer evil. The Palestinian group said Mr. Biden's remarks were inflammatory and aimed to escalate tensions in the Gaza Strip. We have come to the end of the video. What do you have to say? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.